Akonde in the Bassa Fanagla, brought to you by CMB Law Group and the incredible counselor CHARLYNE and BRUMSKINE. Get ready for 1 hour of non-stop legal insight every single week. Tune in for clear expert breakdowns of the laws that shape Liberia directly from those in the know. Join Counselor CHARLYNE and BRUMSKINE, Counselor J. Bate Sipi, and Anthony J. Greaves every Tuesday from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. Call in live for real-time answers to your toughest legal questions in English and Bassa. The law belongs to us. The program will be live on Ablija Radio and TV and will be relayed on several media outlets in Liberia. Tune in, learn, and be part of the action exclusively on the CMB Law Group, where the law belongs to us.
Liberian people everywhere. You're calling our love. Ignorance of your law is no excuse. So tell your friends to terrorize you. American people everywhere. You're calling our love. Ignorance of your law is no excuse. So
The biggest law show to hit the Bassa land is here. It's time for the program The Law Belongs to Us, which means Mwamo Akonde in the Bassa Fanagla, brought to you by CMB Law Group and the incredible counselor CHARLYNE and BRUMSKINE.
people everywhere. You're calling our love. Ignorance of your love. It's your name that kills the my uncle up on
The biggest law show to hit the Bassa land is here. It's time for the program The Law Belongs to Us, which means Mwamo Akonde in the Bassa Fanagla, brought to you by CMB Law Group and the incredible counselor CHARLYNE and BRUMSKINE. Get ready for 1 hour of non-stop legal insight every single week. Tune in for clear expert breakdowns of the laws that shape Liberia directly from those in the know. Join Counselor CHARLYNE and BRUMSKINE, Counselor J. Bate Sipi, and Anthony J. Greaves every Tuesday from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. Call in live for real-time answers to your toughest legal questions in English and Bassa. The law belongs to us. The program will be live on Ablija Radio and TV and will be relayed on several media outlets in Liberia. Tune in, learn, and be part of the action exclusively on the CMB Law Group, where the law belongs to us.
Liberian people everywhere. You're calling our love. Ignorance of your law is no excuse. So tell your friends to terrorize you. American people everywhere. You're calling our love. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So ignorance of your law is my uncle up on them.
The biggest law show to hit the Bassa land is here. It's time for the program The Law Belongs to Us, which means Mwamo Akonde in the Bassa Fanagla, brought to you by CMB Law Group and the incredible counselor CHARLYNE and BRUMSKINE. Get ready for 1 hour of non-stop legal insight every single week. Tune in for clear expert breakdowns of the laws that shape Liberia directly from those in the know. Join Counselor CHARLYNE and BRUMSKINE, Counselor J. Bate Sipi, and Anthony Reverend J. Adam Greaves every Tuesday from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. Quote in live for real-time answers to your toughest legal questions in English and Basel. The law belongs to us. The program will be live on Ability Radio and TV and will be relayed on several media outlets in Liberia. Tune in, learn, and be part of the action exclusively on the CM. The biggest law show to hit the Barcelona this year. It's time for the program. The law belongs to us, which means Mom Group and the incredible cancer.
Our love. Ignorance of your law is no excuse. So tell your friends to carry you. My pastor people everywhere. You're calling our love. Ignorance of your law is no excuse. So tell your friends to carry you.
The biggest law show to hit the Barcelona is here. It's time for the program. The law belongs to us, which means Mama Akonde in the back.
Hello, are we on? Hello.
Hello, I'm on.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We are not live. Okay, now we are. I only am seeing my hand. I want to see the other handsome faces, not just the fun face. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the Republic of Liberia. Good evening to the diaspora. Good evening to Grand Bassa County. Good evening to Abli listeners and to my fellow hosts, co-hosts. I am Counselor CHARLYNE BRUMSKINE. I'll let the two of y'all introduce yourselves, and then we'll come back. Counselor CP, go ahead.
I'm Counselor James Baptiste Sipi, co-host. It's a pleasure being with you again this evening. We're looking forward to an exciting show, and we invite you to listen.
I'm Jay Alvin Greaves, and I'm excited being on the show again for another week edition. It's always rewarding interacting with you and also discussing jointly. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here, but you know, this is technology. We're trying to get me live on my Facebook page, and something just went wrong. So y'all give me 1 second. Y'all can come in for this so we can go live on my Facebook page. So everyone, I am so happy to be here. I miss y'all. I was gone for 4 weeks. Did you all miss me? The counselors, I can't see y'all. Y'all gone.
I'm here.
Okay, no, but I couldn't see y'all before. Y'all miss me?
Oh yeah, we miss you on the show, and you know you the female on the show, so it was not gender balance or some equality or some gender sensitivity. Let me put all of those in there before Mobelo hold me in contempt. And so it was just the two of us communicating, and it's always good to have other perspective. So yes, it was in balance at all. It's good to have you back.
So can I tell you, I don't always believe in balance. I think what we have allowed Liberian men to say, oh, one woman I gotta be balanced, but I have one woman there. No, that's never balanced, because what you do is you always have a quota. One woman that balance, that's not balance. The female voice should always be a part of every conversation. It's not about just balance, because then we need to have one more of me here, because two of you here, and I get only one. But we're not going to talk about gender issues today. As a matter of fact, we're going to discuss a very interesting, and hold on, because I want to make sure I am live. So my hosts, my people, am I live on my Facebook page? Y'all please confirm if I'm live. This conversation has to go on my Facebook page. We are waiting for them, but we'll continue. We are discussing an interesting topic today. I just want you to know that when I was gone, we continued the discussion on the Constitution, the 1986 Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, the highest law of the land, the supreme law of the land. Today, we are going to be discussing Article 14 of the Constitution. And the reason that I find this so interesting, and when we started this show, I did mention that you, our listeners, get to know us personally. You will get to know about our families, our professional, accomplishments. You will get to know about our religious beliefs. You will get to know about our, inclinations, and make us excited and happy, and things that, we're not so happy about sometimes. Today, we're going to talk about a very sensitive topic, a somewhat controversial topic. Part of Article 14 speaks to the freedom of religion. For me, I am a born-again Christian. I believe in the supremacy, the sovereignty, the Trinity of Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, and God the Father. Because I'm a born-again Christian, I very much value my right to practice my religion. And so I want us to have a discussion today about religious freedoms. Before I pass the microphone on to my colleague, I'm going to read Article 14 of the Constitution so that our listener and our viewers have a full context of what Article 14 says. So I read from the Liberian Constitution. Article 14 says, all persons shall be entitled to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment thereof, except as may be required by law to protect public safety, order, health, or morals, or in the fundamental rights and freedom of others. It continues to say, all persons who, in the practice of their religion, conduct themselves peaceably and not obstructing others and conforming to the standards set out herein, shall be entitled to the protection of the law. No religious denomination or sect shall have any exclusive privilege or preference over any other, but all shall be treated alike, and no religious test shall be required for any civil or military office or for the exercise of any civil right, consistent with the principle of separation of religion and state. Consistent with the principle of separation of religion and state, the Republic shall establish no state religion. The Republic shall establish no state religion. My counselors, do you believe that Liberia and Liberians conform? When I say Liberia, I'm talking about the state. When I say Liberians, I'm talking about us as the people. Conform to the fundamental principles enshrined in Article 14 of the Constitution. Let me tell you something. It's already 7:13, so please, let's talk, because we're going to have Cynthia call us. It's going to be an exciting conversation today. So if you're talking, I'm talking. Councilor CP or Councilor Attorney Greaves, go ahead. What's your
Councilor CP start? I like the premise. They can help me.
Councilor CP, go ahead.
Question is whether we are conforming. Generally, yes. There is no state religion. We don't have an enactment of a practice or a holiday that belongs to a particular religion. And I haven't seen anyone being arrested for practicing their belief or their religion. I have not seen that. If there is anything of such, it may only be where the issue of public safety or that practice is infringing on the right of others. For example, I was at a court one time and an individual filed an action against a church. And that was based upon that his peace was being disturbed in the form and manner in which they were worshiping. He was their neighbor, and there was sound services going on that were disturbing him. and it was not stopping. And he has advised, he had tried to reason with them. And they also said that they had a right to practice the way they want to practice their religion. And so he couldn't stop them. So he had no option but to go to the court.
What was the outcome?
And that outcome, they were advised that in as much that you have the right to practice, you cannot infringe on the right of others. And that's why the Constitution said that peacefully, respecting the right of others, the other who live near you, the way you will practice your religion should not infringe upon their right. If that happens, of course, the law will step in. And that is one thing that there's a distinction. Another one could be is that these religious institutions, they have the church school. If anyone who go there to the church school, the law gave them the right to have the rules and regulations. They see the school as a way of teaching religion, which is also the right. So this is not what is being said in this article, that you should not require civil or tests to be taken because anybody who want to go into a civil.
Before you go into, I just want us to ask whether or not we felt that the state had conformed. So you raised a very good issue. You gave an example about a person practicing their religion, but not, right, through the and being told that your religion cannot cross into someone else's right. I wanted to hear from Attorney Greaves about the initial question.
Thank you, Councillor. It's a very great question as to whether we are practicing or whether what is written is textual, whether we go in by that. I don't want to take us back to 1847, but I want to restrict the conversation to the 1986 Constitution. And we clearly know that the law of secularism, the principle, Liberia being a secular state, is key. It established no religion whatsoever. And the law is clear. So two things, what are we practicing? I would say to some extent, we are upholding those provisions within Article 14 as read. There are two protections that come out clearly if you look into the 1986 Constitutional Article 14. One, there is the free exercise principle. That is, the state must protect the liberty of individuals exercising their religious right. And then it came back to give also the anti-establishment principle. And that one is that there should be no religious test that you just mentioned. There should be no preference over any other religion whatsoever. And you should not be subjected to any form of discrimination because of your religious practice. So those are all prohibited or banned, and which are also universal. And so if you look at our practices, even if you go back to 1998 with the case involving the Monrovia City Corporation and the Center for Human Rights Education, that they challenged the city ordinance that are closing or making people now to go to work on Saturday, on Sunday to ensure the cleaning of the market. They challenged that and they say it was given preference over Christianity. And the court said no. The intent here was for sanitation, to clean the market. We did not close other areas, but we closed the market. So it is not to prefer a particular religion over the other. This was meant to clean the city, clean the marketplaces, to give people the opportunity. So if you could go under that, that shows clearly that we've been following that to make sure that we don't prefer any religion over the other.
So thank you for that.
Before you call me counselor, I just wanted to take us back to what appeared to have been a semblance of giving preference to one religion over the other. Prior to now, all the public institutions were teaching Bible. It was a requirement. But I think people who get into the teaching and of these religious activity in the public school, people begin to cry out that if we say we are a secular country or nation, by us sanctioning Bible to be taught in public school, it means that we are giving preference Christianity. We are preferring Christianity over other religion. And so the decision was made that the Bible should not be taught in public school. And I think that was a correction.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. So, you know, we're supposed to be going in and out of the Bassa dialect. We have been speaking mostly in English. And we will make sure that we wrap it up in the dialect. But I want to ask a question, because for me, I always say this show up we want here, it will not just be intellectual. The law is not just, we're having this intellectual signing cases and everything, which is very good because that's what the people need. But also the law is about debate. The law is about an expression of ideas, right? We should be able to, the persuasiveness of your lawyer's case helps you to win the matter, or the persuasiveness of your lawyer's argument. So I won't give you a little bit hard time. I want us to have a little bit debate. And I know it could be controversial, and I think we should disclaimer that these may not be our personal views, but we need to have some serious discussion around this idea that Liberia is not a secular state, and that Liberia has not established any religion. I'm going to ask for Elton to put my co-hosts on as well, because I want to see them as I'm asking this question. I see right now. Thank you. I'm the only one on. The Constitution is very clear that the Republic shall establish no state religion. But all the three of us know that many Liberians, many Liberian politicians, many of our leaders, presidents, former presidents, etc., do espouse their own religious beliefs, majority of which are Christians. We celebrate Christian holidays, particularly Christmas, which symbolizes and memorializes the birth of Jesus Christ. Easter, even if the government doesn't take Easter off or give its employees Easter off, on Good Friday, we usually will get to leave office a bit early. Government employees get to leave office a bit early. It would seem to me that Liberia, as a nation, as a state, presents itself as a Christian nation. Is this in alignment with the Constitution?
Well, there are two sides of the argument. There are others who will argue that textually, Liberia is a secular country. We don't have a rating Christian holiday by legislation.
What about Christian? Oh, by legislation, okay.
By legislation, we don't have an enactment of a Christian holiday.
Okay.
Other people will say, yes, we don't have just a form, but the substance is the conduct. By our conduct, we subscribe more to Christian practice than any other religion. Other people say prior to 1990, or even Sawyer coming into serving as president, interim president, all other presidents before him, they only have invocation to be done by Christian. Invocation and maybe closing prayer. But after he took over, we had an amen, and then we have the reverend. They got religious advisor or a pastor, and then we have a religious advisor who also is a Muslim. Also, similar thing now is being done by, I think we got at the Supreme Court. You have the reverend who, and then you have another person who is from the Muslim faith. But prior to those times, all our conduct, all our practices were just Christianity. So those who have made the argument, you could look into that to say, yes, even though we have it on the board that we are a secular country, but by conduct we are not. And the argument, people will buy into the argument because we are seeing it, as you rightfully say. You know,
let me ask you a question. Should we, since we celebrate Christmas, would it be against or in contravention of the Constitution if we allowed our Muslim brothers and sisters to celebrate Eid? So for instance, if you're a Muslim and you work for the government of Liberia and it is the Eid holiday, you want to take time off from work, the government should allow you to take that time off because the government allows Christians to be off on Christmas Day. Once again, I want us to be very clear that this discussion we're having may not be our personal views, but as lawyers, as constitutional scholars, the argument can be made that Muslims in this country have not been afforded equal treatment, that there has been disparate treatment between Muslims and Christians, and that this goes against the Constitution. Because if we say there should be no state religion, then one could make the argument then we shouldn't be giving children off from school for Christmas holiday, or if we do, we should be giving Eid, because then it provides equality, equal treatment under the law, fundamental rights of religion as you know, the Christians and the Muslims. Once again, I'm asking you, let's go to Attorney Greaves, not your personal view, but from a constitutional assessment and analysis. Are we providing fair and equal treatment to those who may not be Christians from a constitutional analysis?
Thank you, Councillor. It's a very good question, tricky and controversial. Councillor CP laid a very great premise. If I should go back to history, we see the dominance, the domineering force of Christianity. Even the signing of the independence, the Declaration of Independence, even the 1847 Constitution, even some of our Supreme Court opinions, sometimes you see reference to the scripture. Say, this is the word of God and it comes from God. So that could be some reasons for some of the things you see, especially for the dominance that you see with Christianity, because it's a majority. And then most of our leaders we've had in this country have been from that background. But before I answer that question specifically, if you go further, you see that we have a change. Prior to, so I will before concluding, I will say Liberia is indeed a religious country, but non-denominational. That's what I will also say. But okay, you will find out that I see some transformation, some changes. Before, prayers at functions used to begin with Christian prayer, end with Christian prayer. We see the shift. You now have to have the imam open prayer or end, or two prayers together. You now have other religion represented in other parts of the government or area, separation of power coming in. We found representation at every level. But if we want to say where I want to disagree about the preference over another is we have another group called the traditionalists that have not also have not come out to invoke or to say something that we also have been marginalized or we are not seeing ourselves. So it's just only between Christian and Islam, Christianity and Islam that we keep seeing, but there's another group that we're overlooking. So at that point, I would say to some extent, we've been giving preference even to both, and even forgetting the traditionalists or those who have no religion, because they also should have that equal opportunity. That neutrality that the Constitution calls about should be exercised, except where you don't peaceably exercise that you infringe, because where one right ends, another person begins, and the state has that right to limit it and to put some restrictions in, especially when in a case of public health or security and other issues when they come in. So personally, not to say personally, but my opinion is Liberia is a religious country, except that we are non-denominational.
I know that I think a year or two ago, there was some controversy around the government of Liberia through the Ministry of Education, providing funding to certain schools, private schools, many of which were Christian-based. And there was some questions around whether the ministry should be providing similar aid to Muslim schools, Muslim-based schools. Do you remember when this debate was ongoing? No.
I didn't follow it keenly.
Yeah. And so, it is another way in which this debate about religious freedom and whether or not the state is truly aligning itself with the most organic interpretation of the Constitution. But, one of the reasons, and because I always say I'm not just a lawyer, but also I'm a politician. And I remember when I was in Bassa during campaign season, I always said that I don't believe just in religious tolerance. People always say there must be religious tolerance and you must tolerate. I believe in religious harmony and in religious celebration. I believe that we must go a step further and not just say we tolerate other religions, but that there is harmony and that there is celebration of other religions. And this is now my own personal view. I believe so much in diversity of views. Now I always give people a hard time. There must be women at the table. There must be youth at the table. There must be Christians at the table. There must be the traditional people. There must also be the Muslims. And we must all live in harmony. And there should not be one group of people who have an advantage to the other. So it's something I will always preach about this. I will always talk about that as Liberians, we need to go beyond religious tolerance and we need to have religious harmony. And this is aligned perfectly with the Constitution that says that everyone shall be entitled to the protection of the law. So I hope that each of us who have some authority, whether it is legal authority, whether it's political authority, who have authority in our homes and in our families and in our communities, that we encourage religious harmony amongst each other. So I think we're going to be hopefully taking calls soon from our callers. I've just had our admin come in. Are we ready to start taking calls? Okay. So while we are getting ready to take the calls, Attorney Greaves, can you just wrap up, very quickly summarize what we have been talking about in the Bassa dialect for our people?
Thank you, Councillor. The Bassa you're saying be more me rain. Be that to the azen change more bu kabe ayu the poor bieke nyo de be mom bie the poor karuka the what bon bieka kaki a blinyo me mo me wadan be ku be mo dan Muslim or Islam. Oke a mo be a sia be a punyo ki wadan jisege a mo nyo be ro ga mo bi na de po di wakana omu ni de be wa dia zenji be a ka chen mo. Bro na ke mo a Liberia bro ge o srenji bro da nyo simple be okay okay bu mo kwezi a se be won because a bia ge yo mo se be okay ni kwezi easy ni a be won de o ti aye na we we ge ga mo CBM ba ke da de bro di bo kwin je ke ase won be se pore amo aje be ase a ji se ri je ke avoi ke de be bro ke na mamu nyu a de o amion be de o pare de yon bo ke ase yi vo emi o ke nyon to be ke wo se was a yivo je mo Islam be okay o je wa ne wa di e si na de be wa mo wa ke ma nyu wa se nyu ni o je ni ami ni wa we ba di de kan so Charlie Bromskine di de a ni be anu mo si ke di se wo we ke de to be ke di se me pi be a ke wa mo se aro ble o slengi de be a ke wa ni we ba wo ni de be na se change na we ke nyu de be la ba njera nyu ni du ma fre na di change ke se body ada be bon you mo nyu be ke boy konsi be sense be won be wa mo me fu yi wa mo ke yi ye ke america apu ke you no mara he ni se de mo yi nyu ni se pore mo di vori ni be di vo nyu di vo ewu o mo nyu be wa sa di vo ewu konsi ni be di wa mo wero e ri ya na konsi enye ke ana se je chenye.
Thank you, Attorney Greaves. So I think we're getting our callers now, okay? We're ready. Elton, we're ready for the callers.
There is no caller yet.
Okay, we'll continue. We'll continue. All right, so let's continue with this conversation. We have been talking about the freedom of religion. Article 14 opens up with all persons shall be entitled to the freedom of thought and conscience and religion. What does the freedom of thought mean to you? Councillor CP, when the Constitution says we have the freedom of thought, what does that mean for you?
To me, that is that it means your thinking process should not be controlled, or is not controlled. The Constitution guarantees how you should think. Your thinking process, and it's not somebody directing you how your thinking should be, because your thought process will help you to voice out what is in your mind. So nobody should press nobody should tell a guy the state should not tell a guy to say this is the way you should think, or this is another way you should think. There should be a freedom so that you will be independent in what you think and should not be controlled.
And we know that historically, throughout history, there have been instances where state propaganda that propagates messages that the state wants its citizens to believe have been a way of life for many dictators, for many authoritarian ruled countries. It is not so far from the imagination to believe that something like that could even happen to Liberia. People would say Liberian people, we stubborn, we had to listen. It can't happen. But to control thoughts, to prevent, even in schools, what students say, what students write, what students read. You know, like there are instances where you can even begin to control the state radio and say that we only. Oh, I'm sorry. I think Elton is. Elton, come in.
Go ahead, loud and clear.
Okay, we have a call.
To the counselors. It has been a one question I've been following religiously. But actually, I want to know, should it be necessary that imam or pastor be involved in the politics? Should it be necessary? That's the question I want to know. If it is necessary for pastors to get involved in the politics.
I didn't get the question. Elton, can you help us with the question?
The question is whether a pastor should be involved in the politics.
I love that question. Yeah, there are plenty of things to say about it. I have so much to say. So a pastor has his or her individual right to decide whether or not he will be or she will be politically active. But I do not believe that a pastor, this is my own view now, should be preaching partisan politics from the pulpit. Plenty of peace, partisan politics from the pulpit. It is not becoming, I don't think, for pastors who are to be teaching the word of God, to be getting involved in the weeds, in the dynamicism, much of which is adversarial, acrimonious, plenty issue behind it of politics.
Hello.
You know, hello.
Hello.
So please hold the line because I want to say something that's very important. No, Elton.
My name is Fatu Siri.
Elton, you have to hold the line. Elton, let your caller hold for a second.
I just want to say a very big thank you to the Team Institute tonight for the program. The law is our food. And you know, this is a very interesting topic. For me personally, I actually all update in with the Article 14 of the Liberian Constitution. I personally have been so much in status to Liberia, well, we don't even know that this country, everybody is supposed to carry on their own religion practices, which some of us never knew, and so nice. It's an eye-opening night for us, and I want to say thank you to the team. But something I want to recommend to Dr. BRUMSKINE and her team. Yes, hello.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Getting you.
Go ahead.
Am I live?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
And clear.
Okay, so my recommendation to the team in studio tonight is that this portion of the Liberian Constitution be reinforced. That people will know. I have a friend. Now we both graduated from the same school. He actually been pushing, like while the counselor was saying, for when they had a Muslim holiday for them to get in time off in school, like Friday, some of them go to the mosque on Friday to pray. But then they'll be forced to go to school if you are in a private school, where in our school administrators, they practice the Christian, they get a Christian belief. You're forced to go to class. If that your child reach for prayer, you're forced to go to class. So I want to recommend that this portion of the Liberian Constitution be reinforced here. And thank you so much for the interesting topic. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor, I have a question for you also.
Okay, please, Attorney Greaves, let me just say, Elton, can you hear us? You should please listen to the calls. When we are responding, let us finish our sentence before you add another caller, please, because it disrupts the flow of our conversation. We're responding to the first caller, and then we got interrupted with the second caller. So hopefully, Elton, you can hear us. So, Attorney Greaves, please let me just complete my thoughts. to the first caller, and then we'll come in, unless you want to say something prior to what I was saying.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So the first caller who asked about pastors getting involved in politics. A couple of weeks ago, we know that the Liberia Church Council of Churches gave some honors to certain political figures. I think they were lawmakers. I went on my Facebook page and I strongly condemned the action. I do not believe that our Council of Churches should be engaged in any partisan or political activities. They need to focus on the work of God. Let the political people focus on politics. That is how and this is not a constitutional issue. This is because if you are a man of God or a woman of God and you are preaching the word of God, you are a prophetic voice in the nation. You cannot be picking certain politicians to praise, to give accolades, and to give honor to. Then on Sunday, you stand before the pulpit and preach, God's word, and preach fairness, and preach, rightful acting when you have been partisan by honoring some politicians. So I have a fundamental issue with pastors getting too involved in politics. But Attorney Greaves, please go ahead.
All right. So since this is a very controversial topic, Councillor, recently we heard that there was a bill, some proposed legislation at the National Legislature for certain religious holidays in Liberia. And the intent is to foster unity, inclusion, religious inclusion, and to promote national unity. But we know that Article 14 talks about political neutrality, talk about giving no preference to any maybe non-recognized religious group that we may not know about, or maybe very small. Traditionalists may come up another time soon. So what are your thoughts? Does that proposed legislation align with the Constitution, or is it just to satisfy the equality or to satisfy political or some pluralism? What are your thoughts? What do you see in alignment with the Constitution?
Attorney Greaves, I beg you, tell me quickly about, I was focusing on the Facebook page. Tell me quickly what the bill says again.
The bill, in summary, talks about providing certain religious holiday to promote religious inclusion and national unity.
Yes.
So my question is, whether you think they align with Article 14 of the Constitution, or is it just to satisfy political interest?
I think it does align. And let me tell you why. We either are going to have a completely secular state, which is very difficult to do, right? Because nobody taking my holiday from me. Me, I praising God on Sunday, and I will be praising God Christmas Day. But we cannot only give CHARLYNE BRUMSKINE her religious rights without affording, as you said, the traditionalists, the Muslims, the atheists.
That Christians, and this is a Christian nation. We have been recognized by the legislatures and by the government.
Right
so
now,
it can't be meant that Muslims should have a holiday, except if they go back to the same government to say that.
Okay, Elton,
then it could be, it can be. But now this country is recognized as a Christian nation. So how could this be? Because there is a right that you have the right to worship whatever God, the individual to worship any God, or whatever religion according to your choice. But how could that be? I don't think it should be by force or whatever, but it should be through the regular procedure of the legislature, and the Christians were recognized through this constitution on the simple thing. So I wanted to clarify that to me. Thank you very much.
So we did not get anything you said. Elton did not warn us that you were coming on. You just came in the middle. So caller, I'm so sorry. We didn't hear you. I'm not really sure what Ablige is doing with these calls right now. So we apologize. If you can call back again, and we're asking Ablige to let us know when callers
I pick up something small.
Okay.
And he wanted to know that to have a religious holiday in this country, they have to go back to the constitution to do some amendment. It has to do the proper procedure. The legislative enactment must go on. So he wanted to know how can we reconcile all of those issues to avoid conflict.
So he's absolutely right. We're not talking about the procedure and the process. There will have to be a lot of reconciliation between the statutes, whatever bill is going to be passed, and the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So whatever statute is going to be passed has to be in conformity. But what you are asking is, do we think it would be, could there be an argument made, a legal argument made, that this bill does not violate the Constitution? The argument that can be made is that the Constitution already has clearly stated that there should be no sect or religion. It's very clear about that. However, the state has not established a religion, as Attorney Grieve said. There is no law that says Liberia is a Christian nation. But we do recognize Christian holidays. If there is a bill passed to say that in harmony or consistent with public policy and how Liberian holidays have been, we will allow for a holiday to take effect on so and so day, and it would be how they would word that also. Something the statute will have to say something like, in conformity with the Constitution, the legislators, we do not respect any religion over the other. However, we will allow certain schools, for instance, to give holidays. I mean, they got to form it in such a way that it is not violative of the Constitution. I think the argument can be made, but once again, it will require that the drafters of that particular bill and the drafters of that statute put forth language that doesn't violate the Constitution. That's my thought. I want to hear from you.
Councilor Sipi?
Well, yes. Well, for me, I think that will open a Pandora box. The challenge I know to give to those who are the drafter or who are sponsoring that bill is to identify the law that is in existence, and then maybe do the amendment to that law to incorporate every other religion. But if we don't have it, if we are to create one, then we are in violation of the Constitution. Because you had a Baula who are other sects, religious sects in the country. If there will be a law that will not incorporate all of them or to give them equal opportunity, then we are violating the law by creating an act that will give religious holiday to a particular religious group. And I wanted to talk about the pastor or imam who are into politics. And I think it's a fundamental right to decide as individual religious leader, they should ask themselves the question whether that will not bring the religious practice into disrepute, whether that will foster the gospel by then entering into politics. Everybody who, they are not talking about any other profession, they are talking about politics. Maybe it's how we see politics to be, or the practice out there. So people are saying religious leaders should not enter. So that should be a question if I enter into politics, will I be doing good to my profession or to my pastoral position? Would I be a reproach, or would that create a hindrance to those who I'll be preaching to? If no question can be answered positively, and you know you will make an impact without choosing or here and there, or that will not cause any backlash to the gospel that you're preaching or the imam or what have you, then that decision you could take it. But it's your constitutional right to decide what you want to be. Nobody can put stuff to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Before the close of the show. So I think I'd like for us to give our parting thoughts, each person, please, 1 minute, about the discussions we've had today around Article 14 of the Constitution. Maybe something you left out, maybe you want to respond to callers, some of the comments that callers made or questions. But go ahead, Attorney Greaves, I want to start with you. I will ask you 30 seconds of English and do some in Basa, and then we'll go to Councillor Sigby. And then
Thank you. It's a great show, especially the topic on our discussion today, our freedom, our religion, conscience. They are all constitutionally guaranteed. And Liberia is a secular state, so I think we should continue to uphold secularism, which is very important for our country. Even though we know from history, from the 1847 Constitution, everything, even in the Constitution, is our religion, Christianity, mentioned in it, and from the Declaration of Independence and everything we did. But from the 1986 Constitution and current, I see a lot of improvement, and I think we should continue on that path. We should continue to study the environment, the situation before, I think, coming up with the religious holiday. We need to have a broader consultation with all parties involved, counties and political parties and institutions and youth group. We should all give it a thought and know whether it will actually promote the unity, the inclusion we talk about. It shouldn't be a rush because we want to gain some political interest or get some political gain. It could be good. It could be a good thing in the wrong direction. It would be something very important for us, but let's discuss it. Let's have conversation about it and around every other institution we can do to really study whether it aligns with our constitution. As to the pastor, everyone has the right to participate. How you do it is up to you. But as you lead people, like you said, religiously, you don't want to be so specific on the party politics. You can speak about national issues because the church also, or the Muslim, or the Pope, the Imam, they all are conscience of society. So they have to speak to national issues and pressing issues because citizens are under their authority as well. So they have to speak to issues. And that's why the Interreligious Council now is so diverse that you have the Muslim, the Christian, and other people part of it. But like I agree with you, you should move away from just giving people political recognition and to speaking nationally on issues. So maybe there are chances more. There them blame Yibo before BJ more. They are as they are said they are chair munyeke. They are being poor wakabo nyoto monday. They are mama the poor this and you okay. I'm maybe way to watch it. Say for the one the way. Care be report na take any one more weirdo. Ke anyo friend be ara na be one and room different they ja. They were different at the moment. They were wakapo. Then he am the point of the where more Islam or better more this and yoga a single Sunday book that widow blink. The one in women one dinege, one more gay, a single that I see. In case it's children or change, you use it to bang your from sick. So I did about what I change again. You're the as in I need more. In your them I charge, we need more. I mean, dinner. See what I am, this and a whippy and see me over here. We are being again, or as a tongue that we do was a bleed. Was a man of clip, walking will back and you get pop with the water on game.
Thank you. Councilor CP, your closing, please. 1 minute.
Yes,
8 o'clock. It's 8.
Yes, 8 o'clock. So I just Costa people. And my observation, walking throughout the city and other places, we have churches in the midst of community. And some of the churches will put their sound system outside. Our worship should not be in a way to disturb other people who are not part of us. We got to respect their right. It's not only the Christian, the Muslim put their sound system or their loudspeaker outside. And when you should, as Christian, God, or as religious people, God is a God of order. The way He made us, He's a God of order, and we should follow that order. And the Constitution says that once you worship peacefully, you look at yourself and you respect the other people, they will protect you. You will not be protected if you disrespect the right of other people. They will take you to court. Don't say that they are prosecuting me. They are not prosecuting you, or they're not persecuting you. But please, my people, let's respect the people that live around our worship places.
Thank you, Councillor. It is 8:02. We have run 2 minutes over, so I will just say this was a great show. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to the callers. Thank you to the viewers. We'll see you next week, Tuesday. We are going to continue with the Constitution, and we will be talking about the right to freely assemble. Y'all know, Stand and I think Moba Molu and his group are going to be having a protest July 17th. Enough is enough. I listened to the IG, Gregory Coleman, yesterday speak about the right for them to assemble, but that they need to get a permit. We'll discuss this next week, Tuesday. Come, tune in. Thank you. Have a good evening, a great week. The law belongs to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
The biggest law show to hit the Bassa land is here. It's time for the program. The law belongs to us, which means Mwamo Akonde in the Bassa Fanagla. Brought to you by CMB Law Group and the incredible counselor CHARLYNE and BRUMSKINE. Get ready for 1 hour.